Okay, so Fort Steele, the first police fort in BC. Sam Steele, the superintendent of the Northwest Mounted Police, now known as the RCMP. And that's the Redcoats. You hear everybody say, oh, Redcoats, like that. They are alluding to British, in America. But up here, the Redcoats would be the Northwest Mounted Police. There's actually a trail you can do leaving Winnipeg. It goes all the way down through southern Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Alberta into BC, all around actually right to here. And that's called the Redcoat Trail. That was the trail that they took to come out here from Ottawa because they needed order, because this was literally the Wild West. You hear the Wild West, this was the Wild West. So they sent the Northwest Mounted Police out here to kind of contain everything. And Sam Steele was the guy tasked with overseeing it. 75 police, Northwest Mounted Police officers were in his regiment. Oh yeah, but he would sit there, use it. Oh, for towing too, they tow it. A little hitch. Sam Steele built the barracks known as Fort Steele because it was basically the native population. There was a land dispute, and the Kootenay natives thought that this was their land, and the British were like, no, it's ours, and it was really bad. So yeah, so Sam Steele came to figure that out and say, okay, no, this is British territory. And he actually went to the Boer War in South Africa and had to he burned villages and did a whole bunch of really horrible stuff. But he actually didn't want to do it. It was the British said, you have to go to South Africa, because he was a military man as well as a cop. You wanted law enforcement, you got Sam Steele. But he wrote that he disagreed with the British's decision and what they had told him to do. But Queen tells you to do something, and do it. You can see the British flag, right? This was British territory. This is the fort. This is how they told everybody that this is ours. Oh yeah, this is the barracks that the boys would have slept in. Police barracks. So you can imagine 75 Northwest Mounted Police officers all clumped in here together. And then they would go out on horseback up to Radium and various places in the Kootenays. They eventually make their way out to the Okanagan and stuff. That's how law and order was kept, well, relatively kept. But it was pretty lawless. There was some parts of BC where the British Empire worked really hard because it was Britain, right? It was considered Britain. So if lawlessness was happening in a British colony, that was unacceptable. That's why they built this fort. This was literally all for the Northwest Mounted Police. This is the kitchen, the mess hall where they would have eaten their dinner. Mainly for the native population in the beginning, but once the gold rushes started and you had prospectors coming from, America, Europe, South America, China, that's what really necessitated police. And Sam Steele, he was actually in charge of the Yukon gold rush policing, and he did such a good job because he was such a fierce, commanding personality, and obviously, sharp shot, and he could fight as well, fist fights and stuff. He commanded so fiercely in the Yukon during the Yukon Gold Rush up in Dawson, which he moved to in 1898. If John Wayne was a cop, Sam Steele would have been it. Administrative Center, 1887. You had Native Uprising, that's right. The Kootenays chief. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Although superintendent did not think the situation called for Northwest Mounted Police, yeah, he was ordered to establish the Kootenay Post. So he did this. This was Sam Steele. This was all Sam Steele's creation. Northwest Mounted Police, Kootenays. Oh yeah, here you go. These are some of the boys. Assistant Surgeon. That's Sam Steele. Inspector Wood's bedroom. These are just personal cops now, but it's still cool to look at the way they would have lived back in the day. Oh, the office. Everybody loves spending time in the office. They got an actual printing press here. This is a fancy office for the 1800s, man. But they were cops, though. So, this is Steele's bedroom. The man himself. They used to carry... They rode horses, carried swords and guns, and would traverse the bush trails looking for unruly prospectors and ladies of the evening and various other activities that the British Empire did not want, basically, going on. See the red coat? I was saying red coats, so... It's British, basically. We're talking about the British, right? You say, red coats. It's British. Another red coat. Oh, doctor. Because they would have had to have a doctor, right? In case one of them got shot or stabbed. You can see his sword there. Even the doctor carried a sword. Can you imagine? You go to the emergency room nowadays, the doctor's got a big sword. The dining room. So this is where they would have eaten their dinner every night if you weren't in the mess hall. If you were starting out, like everything in the world, you start at the bottom. The washing area. Another more red coats. Oh, look, fishing. They were going fishing. Got to eat dinner. Preparation area. This is their storage area. Servants' quarters, yeah, they would have, yep. Back in the day, before we realized everybody was equal. So there's the British flag, letting you know where you are. This would have been the outlook, right? So if you had any, it wasn't really the Americans they were worried about. That was later, more near Rock Creek. I covered that in another set of videos about the Rock Creek Rebellion and the Midway War and all that. The Fort Steele, oh, this is the waterworks. I thought this would have been the lookout tower, so you could see, right? So you'd see oncoming invasions. The old pipe, old drainage pipe, or no, waterline pipe. Wooden pipes, here we go. Ah, they're still preserved in the ground. This is a wooden pipe, guys. Look, you can see the wood grain there. A wooden pipe. So these run all over the fort and bring water to the barracks and stuff. This looks like a lookout, though. And just so you guys know, in Canada, because even people in Ontario I've talked to are confused about it. So in Ontario, because it's such a big province, they have, in the cities, they have municipal police. Then outside of the cities on the highways and in the rural areas is OPP, which is Ontario Provincial Police. And then federally in Ottawa, on federal land and certain government areas are RCMP. So that's how it works in Ontario. And RCMP would be formerly the Northwest Mounted Police. Any major city will have its own police force. So like Vancouver Police, Kelowna, any other town or any other place is all RCMP. So RCMP responsible for policing Muncho Lake as much as they are policing here, right? Or in Cranbrook. There is no municipal police or provincial police. This place would have been swarming with cops, though, literally. Can you imagine 75 redcoats all walking around? Like, this is the horse room. Tackle, all their saddles and stuff. Snowshoes, hats. They have those old white hats. Those like the ones they wore in Africa, like the metal point on the top. So that's the theater, right? Because cops gotta have fun too. The Great Golden Pursuit. Upper Columbia Navigation and Tramway. Stage office.
Place.
Oh, tickets.
That's heating.
Until the 1890s, East Kootenays was an isolated region. Yeah, so the Wild Horse Creek, too, which is like right down the road from Fort Steele, literally across the river there. That was a huge kind of reason all of this exists. There's always a reason, whether it's logging, mining, transportation, or like radium. You're just going to the hot springs and hanging out. There's always a reason for a place. Otherwise, they wouldn't build it there. Oh, the government building. Oh, photography. Yeah, that's back when being a photographer was like an actual job and a skill. We had the old plates, you had to use different chemical solutions and plates to actually get photos. Nowadays, you just like, anybody's a photographer nowadays. I've had enough of the government. I don't want to go in the government.
I don't want to watch.
No, I think it's the government. We all know what the government's like. It was a town. Like it was a full town, right? It was the British trying to establish themselves. All the wagons. Oh yeah, insurance. Yeah, everybody needs insurance. Harnesses and saddles. Right next to the Blacksmith Shop too. Boots and saddles repaired. Let's go see what that looks like. Oh, hi, Betty. Yeah. Oh, the barber shop. Look, it's like an actual barber pole. Like a real one. Go get a haircut. Everything strictly first class. James High Warden and Sons. The Windsor Hotel. So this is, you're passing through town, you stay there. Hardware and miner supply. I love how they have the times too. 1873. Galras Ferry office. So that's what I was talking about, John Galbraith there. Wild Horse Gold Rush in the 60s. He established the ferry service and built this office. $10 each load packed and 5 per man. 1888, they changed the name to Fort Steele in honor of Mr. Steele there when he came here to sort out the problem. But it was Galras Ferry landing before it was Fort Steele. You can see the train there, the train tracks. There was 2 gold rushes, right? There was the 1860s one and then the 1880s one. Went into the early 1900s. And the railway, the 1885 last spike thing, right? We covered all that. But you see, this is the Kootenay River, right? Galras Ferry. That's what I was alluding to this in the car. Well, this is the site. This was the focal point in the mid-1860s for thousands of miners en route to the rich placer gold ground on Whitehorse Creek. They came east over the Dewdney Trail, across British Columbia, north on the trails from Washington, Montana. The Northwest Mounted Police established Fort Steele here in 1887. Galras Ferry landing in the 1860s when they were doing the gold rush stuff, and then they had that dispute with the native population here in the 1880s. That's when the police came. Customs, yeah, because Americans coming up into the Great Britain, right, or British territory. The British ones, want you to know. Yeah, because Americans coming up into the Great Britain, right, or British territory. So the British ones, want you to know, right? Oh, this is for hydraulicking. This would be a monitor, and they bring water in through this big flange pipe here, and it gets shot out, right, and they wash the banks off. Kind of like sluicing, but a little more aggressive than sluicing.
Father's Day, because it's not, I'm thinking about having an expert class. Somebody did it in 1870.
Chinese laundry, because they weren't allowed to use the normal white people laundry place in town. So you'll have like Chinese restaurants and then Chinese laundry. It was very segregated back in the day here. There was a lot of Chinese that lived here, though. They tend to live away from the more populated areas where they were getting a lot of racist stuff. And, yeah, it was bad. It's a bad period of BC history. And a lot of them would make their pile here, and then they would head back to China. There was a story of a Chinese guy. He got rich up in the Caribou, built a rafted all the way down to Vancouver, got through Hell's Gate. Nobody knows how he did it. And went off to China. And they would go back to China, and they'd buy places in China and stuff. But all the Chinese, that was their goal, was to come here, make it rich, and then head back to China with their pile after they had made their pile. The Prospector, book and job printing. Canadian Pacific Telegraph. We're in CPR territory, right? We were further north. We were a CN, but we're now back CPR territory. CPR Telegraph. This is how they would communicate station to station on the line. They would know where each other were and everything using the telegraph. You can see the Spokane Fort Steele Telegraph Office. Irregular mail service. Levine and Campbell arrived by bicycle, and they proposed a Morse telegraph link between Spokane and Fort Steele. In 1898, the telephone system installed by the Canadian Western Telegraph and Telephone Company, connecting Fort Steele, Mouilly, Wardner, Wassa, St. Eugene, North Star Mine, and the Sullivan Mine. The Sullivan Mine is near Kimberley. That's the Morse code alphabet. Fort Steele, that's how you know. Shows you the bits and pieces. You got the battery, the line wire, the transmitting key, and the electromagnetic apparatus. The battery obviously powers it, the line conducts, and the transmitting key is what you use to do Morse code. Ah, yes. The drugstore. Who doesn't like some good old drugstores, eh? You get sick, you need some stuff. Dispensing. Printing office. We've got to do some printing. Come here. Old printing machines. Hotel and restaurant. Bakery. Yeah. Oh, these old buildings falling apart here. Was it a flume? Oh no, a Cornish wheel. The meat market. Jesus, that's big. Perry Creek water wheel. 1934. Seepage water from the underground mine, consisting of 11,000 feet of lumber. The biggest wheel on the North American continent. It's believed to be. The wheel, 32 feet in diameter. 79 buckets that held each gallon. 68 horsepower, that's not bad. Yeah, this is massive, guys. This is huge. This is like 30 feet in diameter. That's huge. This is important. Who doesn't like land surveying? Oh, wow, it's nice in here. Is this just the house? Oh yeah, okay, it's the bathroom. The assay office, very, very, very important, like everywhere else, right? Gold, you gotta get your stuff assayed. You wanna know how much your stuff is worth. These are copper ore, iron pyrite, silver ore, bismuth, quartz, lead, zinc, mica, iron, right? Aluminum, petrified wood. But yeah, this would be the assay office. You can see they got all their chemistry stuff over there. Assaying gold. Gold is always in troy pounds, not normal pounds. 12 troy ounces to a pound versus 16 ounces to a normal pound. And they use that just to avoid confusion, because if you're paying for barley, wheat, flour, all that kind of stuff in standard ounces, and you're paying for gold in standard ounces, it's just, you're losing money with gold. So to alleviate value discrepancies and stuff like that, they just basically had it so that gold and precious minerals have their own value, separate from, you know, goods and services like farming supplies. Oh, a federal truck, nice. This is Blacksmith Supplies. Watchmaker. Townside office. You guys get it. It's an old town, right? We just finished Fort Steele. That was awesome. It's cool. It's cool to see the old history of like policing and stuff. You know, I'm not really that kind of a guy, but I can appreciate some good history and, you know, some characters, right? Because Sam Steele was quite the character. So yeah, if you're ever about an hour from Fairmont and you want something to do for the day, definitely come check this place out. It's very big. That's the one thing I'll say. It's surprisingly big. So if you do come, definitely, like, you can make a morning of it, an afternoon, but you'll definitely want to set aside at least an hour if you're going to do it. So if you enjoyed, like and subscribe, and make sure you hit the bell icon to get notified. Sasquatch Prospector out.